for you.
Now at 6 o'clock, we are following breaking news from the city's northeast side. What Metro Police are saying after an argument led to a car crash and shooting early this morning. And hundreds of new violations for a troubled Indianapolis apartment complex. What health inspectors found when they visited with renters. And people across central Indiana will be celebrating this 4th of July with some fireworks. The important things you need to know before lighting off those sparklers. It is 6 o'clock here on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us. Maybe you have the day off today. You're one of the lucky ones. You're going to be enjoying another day of heat and humidity and some rainfall possibly, Todd.
Yeah, you know, the past 2 days we flared up these isolated storms here and there across central Indiana. My yard didn't get a drop of rain either day, but today storms probably a little more widespread later on this afternoon, and that'll kind of be a trend going forward throughout the remainder of the week. And we actually have a few downpours that have maintained themselves and flared up here throughout the overnight hours. We'll start with this one that stretches just from near the airport back through the Plainfield area back into the Clayton area. This really flared up within the last 15 minutes or so. So that just kind of shows you what kind of tropical air mass we're in. It doesn't take a whole lot for these downpours to get themselves going. We had these downpours near Terre Haute, and if you were watching last half hour, they looked a lot more potent. So they flare up, they rain themselves out, and then they diminish. So you get this quick downpour, and that is just about it. And then we have a little bit of rain still from Logansport, just north of Monticello. So we put the map into motion. You can see things starting to flare up and then diminish. So if you're north of I-70 here this morning, you have the chance of an isolated downpour for your morning commute. To the south, I think you'll probably just have partly cloudy skies. Everybody's in the 70s. It's mild. It's muggy this morning. And later on this afternoon, highs will be in the upper 80s for most of us. Some of you, if you keep the skies completely dry throughout the day, could climb up into the 90s. It's not a washout by any means, but look for those storms to flare up as we get into the peak heating of the day. Elena.
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look at I-465 at Ditch Road up on the north side. Traffic is beginning to pick up, as you can see right here. But the good news is it's not stop and go. So it is still moving along, but you can see more people are out there on the roadways. The good news, those roads are also dry. So let's take a look at the map up on our northwest side. We have this crash with the right 2 lanes blocked, southbound 465 at I-65. So what we know is that there were 3 cars involved with this, and 1 person was transported to the hospital. The good news is crash cleanup is underway. So for right now, you just got to pay attention to these right 2 lanes.
Elena, thank you. We are following breaking news this morning from the city's northeast side. That's where police say a man was shot after a fight. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning. Alyssa, this is kind of a wild situation that all unfolded early this morning.
That's right, Meredith. Police tell us that this all started with an argument right around 1:30 this morning on Alsace Place. That's near 38th and Post Road on the northeast side. Now, what we know is police tell us a man was visiting a woman when the father of the woman's child showed up. The father then tried to run the other man over with his car. The victim took off running, leading the suspect to crash his car into a nearby home. The victim attempted to take cover from the suspect in that home, but was shot in the doorway. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Police tell us that suspect did flee the scene. They believe it is a 29-year-old man. That's all the details we have on who that is right now, but right now they are continuing to search for that suspect. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. The health department has found hundreds of new health code violations at a troubled Northside apartment complex. This is a story we followed closely from the beginning at the Lakeside Point at Nora complex. In June, the Marion County Health Department swept through the community, knocking on every door to investigate the conditions residents were living in. Before the sweep, the health department had 29 active violations on the complex. Out of nearly 500 units, 80 residences allowed the health department to come inside, where 209 additional violations were found.
Because they are immigrants and refugees in a lot of cases, they're not prone to speak up. To find 209 violations in 80 residents that we saw, you know, you do the math, you understand it's a significant issue.
The issues included a lack of hot water in several units and one entire building. There were also trash problems across the complex. A local organization is now working with residents to help them push for change. You can find out more about their efforts on our website, theindychannel.com. A family is having trouble finding peace 10 months after their mother's death because of the condition of her gravesite.
Discovering what we discovered, I mean, it was pretty bad. I would want no family to have to go through what we had to go through on this situation.
Larry Thompson went to New Crown Cemetery on the south side of Indianapolis over the weekend to visit his mother's grave. What he saw left him devastated. The gravestone was located in the wrong place. Nothing was engraved on it, and a piece of plywood covered an empty hole where her casket was exposed.
The stone still hasn't been moved. There was a hole in the ground, water sitting inside the casket area. We noticed the plywood laying next to the ground, and I raised it up to see what was going on, and we discovered that. And it, my son, he was pretty cheered up about it.
The company released a statement to RTV6 about the situation, saying the family marker has been placed at the gravesite as of today. We asked why it took 10 months to install the gravestone properly, but we have not yet heard back. 34 pounds of marijuana are now off the streets after a traffic stop on I-70. State troopers found the drugs after stopping a car that was tailgating another car in Henry County near the 132-mile marker. Officers say the drugs were in 34 individual packages. The approximate street value is an estimated $70,000. The driver is charged with dealing marijuana. This morning, we are getting a new look at some video showing the continued recovery process in Beech Grove after a tornado hit last month. You're looking at footage from our RTV6 drone above the apartments near Beech Grove High School. Both sustained damage in the storms. Surveillance video showed the scene in the school's parking lot. The winds pick up, overturning a vehicle and sending people running out of an RV. Parts of the high school were a total loss after the tornado, but cleanup and construction continues. A U.S. postal worker right here in Indiana is being credited for taking matters into her own hands and helping catch a criminal. Bertie Faulkner is being honored with the Postmaster General Hero Award. Faulkner works in New Albany, Indiana, and earlier this year she suspected that a customer was trying to scam people with a money order. Faulkner actually followed the suspect, eventually leading to his arrest. So a big congratulations to her this morning. Fireworks are America's birthday candles, and we will be doing plenty of celebrating tomorrow with the 4th of July. Our Aaron Lish is live with the safety precautions you need to remember so you don't have any firework mishaps. Hey, Aaron.
Good morning. So we want to wake you guys up, and so we have mortars here, and we have Wayne Township Fire Department's Captain Michael Pruitt here with us. These mortars can do some serious damage, and there are right ways and wrong ways to load these things.
Absolutely. This is the most powerful explosive. Every year, Patriotic Fireworks here on the west side supplies us with the stuff we need to teach you guys how to be safe with this stuff. So a couple quick lessons. These have instructions. So when you go to the fireworks store, make sure that you talk to the people that work there. They know a lot about this. So it says this end up. And when that means this end up, it means this end up. So when we're loading one properly, we put it in, it says this end up, we're going to drop it in, and we've got our fuse ready to go. And we're going to do a little bit of both here. So we're going to put one in the wrong way, and we're going to put one the right way. So the first one we're going to shoot off is the right way. So Aaron, if you want to prepare yourself.
We'll make some space, and while we move back a little bit, I want to say that we looked on Twitter, and we asked you guys what the biggest thing was for safety. About 50-50 have had close calls. And that's the right way to do it.
That's the right way.
You want to make sure that you have some distance, right?
Absolutely. And you can buy fuse extensions for these, which I would highly recommend. Give you a little bit more time.
All right, this is the wrong way.
Let's try that again. This is the wrong way.
Woo!
So basically, if we walk over here real quick, you can see that there's absolutely nothing left of this mortar tube, which could very well be a part of your body.
And you were talking a little bit about delays as well.
Yeah, so you got a delay. So basically, this tube held it. That's a very strong tube there. But a lot of these tubes are very cheap, and it just will totally obliterate the tube. But you can see it blew a hole through the board, and that is simply from putting it in the wrong way.
Jeez. And we have to have like a kit with us just an emergency kit just in case?
Make sure you get a first aid kit always readily available, because somebody might get a small burn on their arm that you can do some quick first aid on, so always keep something readily available.
All right, so we are going to be showing you guys something to do with the watermelon and these fireworks, how they don't mesh very well. That will be in the next half hour, but for now, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks, Aaron. The time now is 6:10. Some thunder and lightning across parts of central Indiana this morning. We've lost a lot of the lightning, but some of you are still dealing with some very heavy downpours. In fact, there is one getting pretty close to where Aaron is over in Wayne Township, just to the south of you. And you notice there are a few lightning strikes now just flared up. That's happened within the last 2 minutes before I set this graphic up. The heavy rain from Decatur Township through the airport back towards Plainfield. I'm going to put this into motion and watch what happens. This is a 1-hour radar loop, and it just pops up the storm, and that's just kind of the air mass we're in, where it doesn't take a whole lot to fire up these downpours, with also the potential for a little bit of lightning. Logansport, just some heavier rain shower activity right now, but things are pretty unsettled here across the area. So it's warm and it's muggy once again today, with highs in the upper 80s to right around 90 degrees. But as soon as we get into that peak heating of the day, we're going to flare up additional thunderstorms. Some of them could be borderline strong to severe. The Storm Prediction Center has us under the marginal risk for severe weather. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Todd, thank you. Getting a jump start in the business world just after the break. And Hiring Hoosiers, the program that's offering young people the chance to try their hand at several different businesses. We'll be right back.
Zero. We look forward to serving you at Barrington Jewels.
Hiring Hoosiers is our initiative from RTV6 that works to connect you to jobs, resources, training, and education. And today's story is proof you're never too young to learn about the workforce and all the hard work it takes to get hired for a job, run a business, and even pay off loans. I went to Junior Achievement of Central Indiana's BizTown to learn more about why they're teaching kids as young as kindergarten all of these skills.
I want to be a doctor.
12-year-old Rachel Hamilton has some lofty goals and the confidence some adults even lack.
I don't think it's very overwhelming.
She's gotten a taste.
So I work in Steak and Shake.
Of what life in the workforce is really like.
And I've learned how to do like business checks and pay loans and things like that.
Rachel is a camper at Junior Achievement's BizTown this summer.
We have kids from ages 9 to 12, and they come here and they also run a business. They have a job for the day. Every day they have a new job within their business, so they get to learn about different responsibilities. And they create a business plan, they create inventions, they have patents, all sorts of really amazing opportunities.
The goal is for these kids to be confident in financial literacy, work readiness, entrepreneurship, and philanthropy.
It's so critical for students of all ages to be exposed to careers and pathways and life skills, those soft skills that are so needed for them to be successful. So we want to prepare them early, so when they're able to become on that path after high school, whatever that is, that they're successful in life.
Andis says it's proven that kids who are exposed to these experiences are more prepared and successful in the future.
I think we see that students are not coming out of high school with those skills, and employers are having a hard time finding the right hire.
And the earlier they can teach those skills while having fun, the better.
It's important to be on time. It's important to be respectful. Those small things that are kind of those life skills that aren't being taught every day are the most important part of maintaining a job. And so I think it's incredibly important that we teach that as early as kindergarten.
Now, if this camp sounds like something your child would be interested in, there are 2 more sessions taking place in Indianapolis this summer. The first is July 15th through the 19th. The second is July 22nd through the 26th. JA BizTown also offers scholarships, so all kids are able to attend camp. We put all this info on our website, hiringhoosiers.com. That's where you can also find all of our other Hiring Hoosiers stories. And be sure to join us tomorrow on Good Morning Indiana as we sit down with our career coach to talk about how to make sure you're the one picked for the job. This morning, 3 government inspectors are calling the jam-packed Border Patrol detention facilities a ticking time bomb. The inspectors released a new report with pictures after surprise visits to facilities in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. The report says overcrowding and prolonged stays are creating health risks. It said 3 of 5 stations had no showers for kids and that agents gave out wet wipes in lieu of showers in some facilities. We expect groups like the ACLU to comment this morning on the Trump administration's decision to print the 2020 census without a citizenship question. Trump confirmed the decision in a tweet, calling it a sad time in the U.S. He said he'd have the Departments of Commerce and Justice keep working on the issue. The Supreme Court blocked the question in a ruling last week. Critics said adding the question would create an inaccurate census and skew congressional seats and funding. Hurricane season is officially underway, and this morning Hurricane Barbara is churning in the Pacific Ocean. The hurricane is now a Category 4 storm with winds of 130 miles per hour. Here is the good news, though. Barbara is not a threat to land at this time and is expected to weaken in the coming days. The hurricane is moving in the direction of Hawaii, but it is far too early to tell if the storm will threaten the islands or not. And even though we are very far from Hawaii, Todd, and obviously don't get hurricanes here in central Indiana, we want to see that storm weekend because it's only a domino effect when those storms hit the shores.
Yeah, you know, absolutely. You don't want to see anybody get hit by a hurricane. That's in the Pacific. The Atlantic hurricane season has been very slow here so far this season. Here in central Indiana, we're dealing with a few isolated storms. This downpour with a lot of lightning has really flared up within the last 15 to 20 minutes from Decatur Township through Plainfield over towards the Clayton area. You notice some lightning there as well. And this is just right on top of the Indianapolis International Airport, or just approaching it. So that could cause a few issues there for some minor delays briefly. So be aware of that. And then have a heavy downpour just south of US 40 there as you make your way into the Stylesville area and then back off towards the west. A few spotty showers in the Brazil and Terre Haute area, and then up to the north there's a few showers as well making their way towards Peru this morning. No lightning here in northern locations. So we're just stuck in this very tropical-like air mass. We've been in the 90s for the past 4 days. We might not get there today. A lot of that's going to be dependent on how much cloud cover we see throughout the morning hours. But once we do get into some sunshine, if you do see it in your neighborhood, that's when we're going to flare up these storms really, really quickly. And here's a live look from downtown off towards the west, and you can see how it's a lot darker here as you're looking at your screen off towards the left side, and that is the heavy rainfall that's impacting Decatur Township over towards the airport. You notice it's a little brighter but still hazy here. That haze is just the humidity or the moisture that's in the atmosphere. So a difference between the darkness with the heavy rain and the lighter sky there on the right-hand side of your screen. 74 degrees, that's the current temperature. The dew point's at 70. It's a very uncomfortable number. We keep the dew points high throughout the day today, and that means the humidity is going to stick around as well. Temperatures this morning are in the 70s. As we work our way throughout the day today, watch how as I put this into motion, it's pretty quiet with the exception of a stray downpour this morning through the noon hour. As we start to break the clouds apart by the noon hour to partly cloudy skies, the next motion here as I put it into 2 and 3 o'clock, look how these storms blossom. It's not going to take much at all to flare up these isolated downpours throughout the afternoon hours with the heavy rain. And some of them could contain some gusty winds and lightning as well, and they're with us off and on throughout the afternoon. So I do think today's a day where the storms are a little more widespread than they were yesterday. So it's a day to be weather aware throughout the day and have the umbrella handy. And as I push this into Thursday morning, very similar to today. We start off fairly quiet across the area. There could be an isolated downpour tomorrow morning, but most of your 4th of July is dry, just some isolated storms flaring up throughout the afternoon and evening hours. So tomorrow it's a little bit cooler in the mid to upper 80s, but still very, very humid. And then specifically for the fireworks forecast throughout the evening hours, we are looking at temperatures that'll be in the 80s. Could be a spot storm, so some fireworks across central Indiana may be impacted, but I don't think it's a widespread problem for us. And then more storms in the forecast throughout the remainder of the week. weekend with temperatures in the mid-80s.
All right, thank you, Todd. Here's a look up on our northwest side right now. You can see it's light out already. I-465 at West 86th Street, no traffic problems. The roads are dry. Looks like a beautiful morning drive if you're making your way on any road trips for the 4th of July or heading to work today. Let's take a look at the map. Something to pay attention to on our northwest side. I've been telling you about it for about an hour now. So these right lanes are blocked. Southbound I-465 at I-65. That's because of a crash. So ISP dispatch tells me 3 cars were involved with this crash and 1 person was transported to the hospital. So right now these right 2 lanes, those are blocked as crews are cleaning it up. So we'll keep you updated as to when this opens back up. In terms of traffic flow, though, everything appears to be moving along just fine. Might be a little bit of a slowdown heading in on westbound I-70 into the north split, as well as on eastbound I-70 heading into the south split. So just keep that in mind as you're making your way out for work or your road trips.
Elena, thank you. As we celebrate our independence this week, Team USA providing another reason to celebrate. We'll show you the big win over England to advance to the World Cup final. That's coming up.
Weekdays at 9 on RTV6.
For the 3rd straight tournament, Team USA is heading to the finals of the Women's World Cup. The Americans held on for a thrilling victory in the semifinals on Tuesday. All the scoring came in the first half of the match with England. Alex Morgan eventually scored the game-winning goal in the game's 31st minute. She then celebrated that moment by pretending to sip some tea with her pinky out, of course. Another huge moment came late in the match when England was awarded a penalty kick. The United States came up with a huge save to secure the 2-1 victory. Now Team USA moves on to the World Cup finals this Sunday. They'll play the winner of today's match between Sweden and the Netherlands. After a team wins the Stanley Cup, it's tradition for every member of the team and coaching staff to get to spend a day with the Stanley Cup and do whatever they want. That has led to some pretty crazy days, but this morning we have some pretty wholesome video to share with you. This is St. Louis Blues coach Craig Berube. He brought the Stanley Cup with him to the small Canadian town of Calahoo. At the big event celebrating the coach, he decided to let the kids there drink orange juice out of the cup. That is a moment all of them will remember. And if you're wondering about some of the crazy things that have happened to the cup, well, it's been fished out of the bottom of a lake, used as a dog bowl, and even used to baptize someone. All right, at 6:26, we might get a little rainfall later today, Todd, but it's kind of welcome after all this heat we've had.
Yeah, you know, it actually does cool you off a little bit, and the yards are starting to dry up here. So some people need rain, some people already seeing the rain. Here's a heavy downpour in Decatur Township back towards Plainfield, some lightning as well. And this is impacting the airport with some heavy rain and those lightning strikes that are moving through. Scattered showers in and around the area this morning. Here is the view off towards the airport, and you can see the dark sky and the heavy rain falling there. Eventually, more storms this afternoon and highs that'll be topping off near 90 degrees once again. We'll talk more about that coming up in the final half hour of Good Morning Indiana. We'll be back here in just a few minutes.
That's right. Fast foodies know the deal.
This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
A man is shot following an argument on the northeast side. We are live this morning with what police are saying about the relationship between the suspect and the victim. Plus, residents at a local apartment complex say they are fed up after not having air conditioning for weeks. Working for you, we are taking the concerns to complex management to get the AC flowing again. And will your 4th of July celebrations include fireworks? The tips you need to know to keep you and your family safe. It's 6:30 here on your Wednesday morning. Thanks for starting your day with us. I'm Meredith Barrett, joined by meteorologist Todd Clausen, and some people getting some rainfall right now to start off their day, Todd.
Yeah, you know where it's raining pretty heavy this morning, and that's just the way it's going to be really not only this morning, but throughout the entire day as we deal with these isolated downpours, almost like a tropical-like downpour. It comes down real heavy, and then it moves on. We'll take you in really, really close here. You notice 465 and 70. Here's the interchange. There's the International Airport. They're kind of in the lighter rain. The heavier the rain is just to the south. Ronald Reagan Parkway over to Maple Ridge, Millhouse Road, Decatur Township over to South Man Road as you work your way inside the 465 loop. And then as we work our way back to the west a little bit, I-70, a lot of heavy rain, and you see the lightning that's taking place there as well. So that's one little lone storm. There's another one flaring up down towards the Martinsville area. A few more showers to the north. And as we work our way throughout the day today, as the skies start to brighten for a little bit of sunshine this afternoon, that's actually probably not going to be a good thing because that's going to flare up additional storms later on today. We're in the 60s and 70s this morning. It's another warm and muggy day for us with highs that eventually get into the upper 80s. Some of you, if you stay dry, could get to 90 degrees. But again, watch for those added storms to develop this afternoon during the peak heating of the day. Elena?
All right, thank you, Todd. Now, I'll get to this in a second, but there are some storms already out there on the roadways. I'll show you that in just a second, as I just mentioned. So we have an earlier crash southbound 465 at I-65. No major problems with this, just maybe a little bit of some lane restrictions. So if this is part of your drive, just pay attention to that this morning. Let's take a look at those roads right now, though. Here's that area I was telling you about. This is over in Plainfield, so I-70, just west of State Road 267. You can see cars are making their way slowly through, but you can see that little bit of a sheen on the roadway. So if this is part of your drive, if you're a Plainfield driver, just use that extra caution.
Elena, thank you. We are following breaking news this morning from the city's northeast side. That's where a man was shot after a fight. Our Alyssa Donovan is live this morning, breaking down everything that unfolded there. Good morning, Alyssa.
Good morning, Meredith. So what we know right now is police say that this all started with an argument right around 1:30 this morning on Alsace Place. Now that's near 38th and Post Road. Police say that a man was visiting a woman when the father of the woman's child showed up. The father then tried to run over the man with his car. The victim took off running, leading the suspect to crash his car into a nearby home. The victim attempted to take cover from the suspect in that home, but was then shot in the doorway. He was taken to the hospital in critical condition. Now, police tell us that suspect did flee the scene. They didn't give an identification, but they did say it's a 29-year-old male, and they are continuing to search for that suspect right now. Reporting live, Alyssa Donovan, RTV6.
Alyssa, thank you. We are working to get help for a woman who is struggling to get through this heat wave without air conditioning. She tells RTV6 it's not just a matter of being uncomfortable. It's a serious health issue for her son who has asthma.
He's wheezing at night. He's coughing really bad at night. He has to get breathing treatments a lot.
The woman who asked us not to share her identity called RTV6 after repeatedly asking her apartment management to fix the air. She lives in the Greenway complex on the east side of Indianapolis.
Every time we call, we get no response. We've even called blocks a couple times, and they'll answer that call, but they won't answer a regular number, and it's just, they just refuse to fix it. Called the health department. I've made multiple complaints. I haven't even gotten a phone call back. When I reached out to you, you contacted me immediately.
Other people who live in the complex tell RTV6 a lack of air conditioning is a problem in several units. We went to the leasing office to get more details, but we were told the property manager was not in and we would get a call. We are still waiting to hear back. Heating and cooling your home could cost a lot more in the future if Duke Energy gets its way. The utility company, which is the largest in Indiana, is proposing a 19% rate hike. If approved, the change would be phased in over 2 years with a 17% increase starting next year and a 2% increase in 2021. The request will go before the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. The commission will hold public meetings before making a decision. Meanwhile, Indiana and Michigan Power is also proposing rate changes. If approved, I&M's proposal would increase monthly residential electric bills about $23 per 1,000 kilowatt hours. The electric company says the rate hike would help cover increases in operating and maintenance costs. A public hearing is scheduled for 6 p.m. on July 15th at the Pittenger Student Center on Ball State University's campus. Drivers under the influence of drugs is a growing and dangerous trend on Indiana roads, according to a new report. It's a problem Call 6 Investigates Kara Kenny exposed back in May. The Criminal Justice Institute and the IU Public Policy Institute analyzed crash statistics from 2018. They found the number of drivers killed in deadly crashes, 45% tested positive for drugs, compared to the 38% who were alcohol impaired. Will Wingfield with the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute says people are getting the message about drinking and driving, but not about using drugs and getting behind the wheel.
It can be any type of drug, even over-the-counter medications, and it could be combined with alcohol or another drug. So really, if you're taking something new, you need to either see how your body reacts to it or talk to your doctor before you get behind the wheel. That's the most important part.
The institute is helping to address the problem by securing funding for more drug recognition experts who are trained in detecting when a driver is on drugs. They're also helping to reduce the backlog at the state's toxicology lab so they can process more impaired driver cases. We have tips on how you can spot a drug driver in this story on the RTV6 app right now. 2 more Indiana counties now report finding mosquitoes carrying the West Nile virus. Health officials here in Marion County and Hamilton County say they found mosquitoes with the virus for the first time this year. The announcement comes just 1 day after state officials reported mosquitoes in Elkhart and Clark counties tested positive for West Nile virus. No human cases of West Nile disease have been detected so far in 2019. About 1 in 5 who are infected with the virus develop a fever and other symptoms. It is 6:37 and it is almost time to celebrate Independence Day, and you know what that means? A lot of fireworks shows. Working for you, our Aaron Lish is live with safety measures you should take if you're handling those fireworks yourself. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, so one of the most important things that you have to have when you're setting off these fireworks is a first aid kit. And we have Captain Michael Pruitt here with us this morning from Wayne Township Fire Department. We've shown a few different items when it comes to fireworks, and it can get dangerous. We had a few incidences last year, and you know, you never know if it could happen this year.
We know more than likely that we're going to have incidents again, but we like to get the message out and reduce that number is always our goal, obviously. So today we're going to we're going to show just the power of, we're using a mortar shell, and this is a watermelon. Watermelon's a really tough fruit. Tastes good, but it's tough fruit. So we got our friend here who we're taking suggestions on the individual's name. We haven't quite named him yet, but he is just over here messing around with mortars, and so we're going to kind of set this off and show you exactly what's going to happen. Are you ready, Aaron?
I'm ready. I'm moving back. Big time.
Safety glasses are on.
Now, that's a poor guy right there.
Yeah, so we probably ought to get him some medical treatment, but you have the first aid kit.
Yeah.
I'll let you give mouth to mouth. I'll do chest compressions.
I mean, it's crazy to believe how serious it actually can be.
As you can see, the watermelon's completely gone. So if that is a body part of any type, you're going to lose it. And so that's just how dangerous these fireworks can be if you don't use them properly. If you use them properly, you're going to be in good shape.
And people have to kind of pay a little bit more attention to when you can set off fireworks. If people have problems with the fireworks, call 311 instead of that emergency line.
Absolutely. You know, and we always hear this happen after the hours have passed when you're allowed to do that. Law enforcement gets inundated with calls about people reporting fireworks and a lot of calls, and we understand. So we just want everybody to be courteous. We want to celebrate the 4th, America's birthday, but we also want to make sure that we're being good neighbors when it comes to setting off fireworks.
Yeah, thank you so much for doing this. And we've had some great weather being able to set up these fireworks this morning. Todd, what is it going to be like for us later today?
Yeah, more isolated storms will start to flare up later on this afternoon. In fact, just south of where Aaron is there in Wayne Township, we do have a pretty heavy downpour. It's now making its way right along 465 here, right where State Road 37 meets up. So some heavy rain there, a few lightning strikes as well. And this is going to continue to move off towards the east, impacting the south side of Indianapolis there. You notice the lightning strikes here as you work your way back towards Decatur Township and the airport. And this is just kind of the deal we'll be dealing with throughout the entire day. We'll have these isolated storms that flare up. They could contain some heavy rain, some lightning, some gusty winds, although I do think the storms will be a little more numerous as we get into the afternoon hours. So before you take your dogs for a walk here, or your dog, depending on how many you have, just make sure you check the radar. Featured dog of the day today, Augie and Boomer. Thanks to Bill for sending them in. They're all ready to go for their walk. So you just have to be weather aware today, especially this afternoon as these storms become a little more numerous. It's another warm and muggy day for us with high temperatures getting into the upper 80s. Meredith.
All right, Todd, thank you. Those are some awfully cute dogs there. Well, this video of a woman licking a tub of ice cream inside a grocery store has now gone viral. After the break, how the ice cream's manufacturer is vowing to take action against that woman. We'll be right back.
888-930-CHAMPION today.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. Time now 6:43. Here's a look at I-70 just east of State Road 267. So Plainfield drivers, take a look at this. Your roads are pretty wet right now for your morning drive. Use that extra caution. Maybe leave a little earlier than you typically would. Some areas are dry right now, which is good news.
Elena, thank you. The internet is pretty grossed out. Bluebell is looking for an ice cream licker. Video of a woman licking a tub of Bluebell ice cream, then putting it back in the grocery store freezer has attracted the attention of millions. Bluebell says they are working with law enforcement and says this type of incident will not be tolerated. Some are questioning why the ice cream wasn't sealed. Bluebell said during their production, half gallons like the one in the video are flipped upside down and then sent to a hardening room. A man who was a pioneer in the auto industry has died. Lee Iacocca died on Tuesday at the age of 94. He was once the president of the Ford Motor Company and was the brains and brawn behind the Ford Mustang. Iacocca helped design the Mustang and pushed it to become one of the most popular cars in American history. He also helped create the world's first minivan. Later, he was hired at Chrysler and helped keep the company from closing. Iacocca is survived by 2 daughters and 8 grandchildren. And emotions were high last night in Texas as the Los Angeles Angels began the healing process after the death of a player. 27-year-old Tyler Skaggs was found dead in his hotel room on Monday in Dallas. The team's game against the Texas Rangers on Monday was postponed. The Angels decided to play last night's game against the Rangers as a way to begin the healing process. There was an extended moment of silence before the game, and Tyler's jersey hung in the Angels dugout. A cause of death has not yet been released, but officials say they do not believe suicide or foul play was involved. It is 6:45 right now, and Todd, some people waking up to some rainfall in their neighborhood.
Yeah, you know, the storms this morning very, very isolated. Most of you are completely dry, but where it is raining, it is coming down quite heavy. And that is on the south side of Indianapolis right now as you work your way into Perry Township here. So 65 and 465, the rain's coming down quite heavy, and this heavy rain is going to cross all the way over 65. This is sliding off towards the east, so it's eventually heading over towards Franklin Township as you move along Emerson or Arlington Avenue there on the south side of town. A few lightning strikes back towards the airport still, but the rain there has lightened up. Still some light rain in Plainfield, and as we go to the south, there's an isolated downpour now just to the south of Brooklyn there, right along Indiana State Road 67. And to the north, we have a few spotty showers as well. So everything's extremely spotty here this morning, and it will continue to weaken. But we have lots of clouds around this morning, lots of humidity. That's the haze that you see. And as you look to the south here, you can see exactly where the rain is. So no rain's falling in downtown at Lucas Oil Stadium or Victory Field, but you get towards the south side of town there, and you can see how the ground kind of disappears. And that's a great shot from our tower camera on top of the Salesforce Tower. As we look to the south, shows exactly where that rain is that I just showed you on Storm Team 6 radar. So some of you have to throw the windshield wipers on this morning for your morning commute. Many of you will not, however. 74 degrees. The humidity is way up there this morning. It's another warm and muggy day for us. 60s and 70s across the area right now. Now, the key for the storms later on this afternoon is how much sunshine do we see. The more sunshine we see, the more numerous the storms will be. So I am expecting the clouds this morning to thin out for some sunshine this afternoon. High temperatures get back into the upper 80s. As soon as you get into that sunshine, we flare up these isolated downpours, and some of these storms this afternoon could be borderline strong to severe, with wind being the main threat along with the heavy rainfall and the lightning. But TrueCast keeps it pretty quiet through the noon hour. We get into that sunshine, and then boom, there we go. We're looking at those storms to flare up throughout the peak heating of the day. They're with us off and on throughout the evening hours before they fade away, heading into the overnight hours, and then more of the same for your 4th of July. So there's rain in the forecast. I've had it in the forecast all week for the 4th of July, but I've also been telling you that it's not a washout. There are a lot of dry hours tomorrow with heat and humidity, but just like today, we'll flare up some of these downpours as we get into the peak heating of the day, and then they'll start to fade away as we get closer to sunset. So for the fireworks celebrations tomorrow evening, there could be some storms around initially, but then I think we're in better shape once we get into the evening hours. As we lose the sunshine, the temperatures start to cool off. We'll probably lose the downpours as well. So do not cancel any 4th of July festivities you may have. More scattered storms in this warm and tropical air mass Friday and Saturday. Saturday, then less humid, but sunshine as we head into Monday and Tuesday with highs in the mid-80s. Lena.
All right, thank you, Todd. The good news is no major problems out on the roadways right now, except for some rainfall that Todd was just telling us about. Coming in from this east side, heading westbound on I-70 from Post Road to I-65 downtown. It should run you about 10 minutes, so everything's flowing along just fine. Rings true pretty much no matter where you're headed right now. Let's take a look at those roads right now, though. Here's a look at some of that rainfall. I-70 just east of State Road 267. You can see cars are moving along just fine. If you're impacted by any of this rain, just be sure to slow down just a bit and use that extra caution.
All right, Elena, thank you. And if you're heading out in a Prius this morning, you'll want to listen to this. Toyota is expanding its Prius recall. The automaker notified U.S. dealers that it's now including Prius models made in 2018 to an earlier recall. Toyota pulled almost 800,000 Priuses in 2014 because of a defect in its electric power system. A Toyota executive testified Monday that even after the recall, the hybrid inverters failed for as many as 20,000 Prius owners. Toyota attempted to fix the problem by modifying its software. That supposedly did not stop the system failures. Hundreds of new violations for a troubled Indianapolis apartment complex. Just after the break, what health inspectors found when they visited with renters.
And be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. This is Good Morning Indiana, working for you.
Welcome back to Good Morning Indiana. It is 6:52. I'm Meredith Barrick. We are working for you this Wednesday morning, helping you get your day started. We have all your top stories covered, and Elena Martella is keeping a close eye on those wet roadways. We do want to start off with Todd Clausen and where they're seeing the rain this morning.
Yeah, we have one heavy downpour out there this morning, and it's on the south side of Indianapolis, making its way through southern Marion County, kind of going right along 465, but some heavy rainfall as you work your way down towards County Line Road and Southport Road here on Interstate 65, and this is moving east towards Franklin Township. Other than that, not a whole lot going on across the area. A few spotty showers to the south and to the north, but we will flare up additional thunderstorms later on this afternoon. In fact, I do think they could become pretty numerous, especially if we see a good amount of sunshine in between this morning and the peak heating of the day. Highs will be in the upper 80s to right around 90 degrees once again with fairly high humidity.
Police are searching for a suspect this morning who shot a man around 1:30 last night after an argument on the city's northeast side. We're told that this started when the victim was meeting up with a woman when the suspect, her child's father, showed up instead. The suspect attempted to run the victim over in his car and then shot him when the man tried to take cover in a nearby home. That victim was taken to the hospital in critical condition.
Alyssa, thank you. The health department has found hundreds of new health code violations at a troubled North Side apartment complex. This is a story we followed closely from the beginning at the Lakeside Point at Nora complex. In June, the Marion County Health Department swept through the community, knocking on every door to investigate the conditions residents are living in. Before the sweep, the health department had 29 active violations on the complex. Out of nearly 500 units, 80 residences allowed the health department to come inside, where 209 additional violations were found. A family is having trouble finding peace 10 months after their mother's death because of the condition of her gravesite. Larry Thompson went to New Crown Cemetery on the south side of Indianapolis over the weekend to visit his mother's grave. What he saw left him devastated. The gravestone was located in the wrong place. Nothing was engraved on it, and a piece of plywood covered an empty hole where her casket was exposed. The company released a statement to RTV6 about the situation, saying the family marker has been placed at the gravesite as of today. This morning, we're getting a new look at some video showing the continued recovery process in Beech Grove after a tornado hit last month. You're looking at footage from our RTV6 drone above the apartments near Beech Grove High School. Both sustained damage in the storms. Surveillance video showed the scene in the school's parking lot. The winds pick up, overturning a vehicle and sending people running out of an RV. Aaron.
Good morning. We are here at Wayne Township Fire Department talking about fireworks safety. And one big thing is kids love these sparklers, but they can get pretty dangerous. They can get up to about 2,000 degrees. So make sure that you are making them aware of the dangers of these. Maybe even use the bamboo stick of sparklers. We have Captain Michael Pruitt here with us as he lights these off. We're going to talk a little bit more about safety. Make sure that you are in an open area and keeping all pets and children away from these fireworks. fireworks, and also pay attention to the ordinances in your city, because that's when you need to know when you can set those fireworks off. If you do have any problems with fireworks going off too late, you can call 311. That is the non-emergency line. And of course, if there is an emergency, you can always call 911. Also, we will have this information on the RTV6 app and on the IndyChannel.com.
Aaron, thank you. AAA says a record number of Americans are traveling this Independence Day. Today is expected to be the busiest day on the roads. 49 million people are expected to travel 50 or more miles.